Hey, what a great pleasure it is to welcome you to our CPD Program 2025-2026 launch. Let's get started and explore what this is all about and what we have in store for you. Let's go. Okay, so I've moved just over here to show you this. We have launched the CPD Program 2025-2026, and we have prepared this presentation to tell you all about it. So let's have a go. Hey, we're launching this program today with this webinar, and I hope you get to explore all the different aspects of it with us. It is a 10-month of customs, export controls, and sanction training, and it is totally done for you. You don't need to design it yourself. You don't need to invest time thinking and on asking. It is done by professionals for your team, for you, so that you are fully up to date and up to speed with the latest and the greatest things that are changing, and you discover all the fundamentals that are needed from a customs professional. So whether you work in customs and export control and sanctions or in global trade in general, and you want to learn and broaden your horizon about customs and global trade, no matter if you're in the EU, the UK, or the US, then this is the place for you. This is where you can get 10 months of training done for you, certified with certificates to showcase that you are constantly evolving and constantly doing lifelong learning as it's supposed to be. So expect expert-led webinars, real-life case studies, updates on the latest regulatory changes from the EU, UK, and the US. All you got to do is get it, just subscribe to it, the whole thing, starting in September 2025. And you got access and new content all the way to June 2026 with regular webinars, all of which accumulate your development points until you reach that magical threshold that is often required by employees. And that shows that you are fully up to date, up to scratch with everything. In this webinar, we want to learn how this program can deepen your technical knowledge of customs, export control, sanctions, and also anti-money laundering. We want to see how it helps you practically apply solutions to real-world trade compliance challenges, understand a little bit what CE means and CPD means and all of these credits, and that'll help you to stay professionally qualified. And of course, you get opportunities to network with like-minded professionals. So what is CPD? Well, you may have heard this to be the continuous development, professional development program. Essentially, it's another way of saying, hey, I am learning continuously. Please recognize the fact that I'm continuously learning and updating and upgrading. Okay, so if you need to maintain expertise or compliance in your job, then this is the program for you. All you need to do is attend a few sessions every month and be done with it. It builds competitive capacity because you get the training and they don't. And of course, with your certificates, you demonstrate professional credibility that you are always up to date, that you got the professional experience, and that you can tap into the latest developments. So a key question I always get is, okay, great. So I'm doing this CPD thing. And, in the UK, we know CPD quite well. In other countries, it may not be so well known, but, essentially it's all the same thing. We accumulate points every year by attending webinars, professional briefings, by seeing the latest regulatory development. And then if we can demonstrate about 20 to 30 CPD points a year, then that roughly means we have been upskilled and we have continued to learn and grow. So we say 20 to 30 CPD points or their equivalent, however you want to place this, equaling to 20 to 30 hours of training is what a customs professional typically needs in order to stay up to date. We have looked at what the UK is doing, HMRC, civil service, public sector. They often require a minimum of 30 CPD hours per year, and that will extend to customs roles. And the same goes for chartered bodies, and also sanctions and crime professional. They would go for, something to make sure that you are up to date and up to scratch. So we say between 20 and 30 is the magical sweet spot. If you can invest 20 to 30 hours of training and get points for it, accredited points for it, then that counts as a professional development that was successful. So what counts as a CPD point? Well, look, equivalent to 1 hour of learning. So if we're doing a 1 hour webinar, then that would be 1 point. If we're doing a 90-minute webinar, that'd be 1.5 points. And that's roughly how we say it. And it's that essentially means you need to invest 30 hours, and that means about 2 hours and a little bit every month if you kind of break this down. Okay. And it really means that you should be, learning about your subject. So if you're into customs, yeah, okay, AML may not be so relevant. However, everything's related. So with customs comes import, comes export control, comes sanctions. And it does matter whether you are a grounded all-round professional or whether you're just narrowly focused on one subject. So if you're a classification specialist, you may not care so much about sanctions. However, you could argue, and you should argue, that this will help you understand how global trade works in general, and that in turn allows you to understand the nuances and details, and therefore, even for a classifications professional, sanctions controls may also be interesting. Maybe not directly relevant, but they will still count as a CPT point so that you show that you have broadened your horizon. And as such, you could be good use for someone who needs to deal with sanctions classification. Now, I focused on the UK CPD specifically, but what I really meant to say is that this is not a UK specific thing. CPD programs exist around the world, they just have different names. So in the US, for example, we have continuous education for licensed customs brokers. That's actually a requirement. If you want to be a certified customs broker, you need to continue your education every year. You need to stay on top of regulatory changes and trade laws, and you need to do everything you can to reinforce trade compliance and national security. And in the US, we call this CE credits, and that can be done through webinars, through conferences, through seminars, through company trainings, through port tours, through CBT sponsored events. And we are proud that launched in September 2025, we have a wide range of US-based trainings. And I want to show them to you because they're amazing. There are like 20 different programs that are running throughout the year. And all you need to go is go to www.customsmanager.org/events and you can register for them. They run in the morning, predominantly in the morning. They some run live online and some run from our New York-based office. So you can check those out. They'll be available on the website and you can find out which one you like and then book it accordingly. And in the EU, if you're in Germany, if you're in France, Spain, Italy, or wherever, and you think, well, how does that work with me? You talked about the UK, you talked about the US, you haven't talked about the EU. Well, in the EU, we don't have this point system per se. But we do have a competency framework developed by the European Commission, which develops professional competency, operational competency, and management competency. And that's part of what makes a customs manager a rounded customs professional. And we can easily extend that to export controls and sanctions. So what we're saying is we have designed all our trainings with this in mind, with the learning objectives that are set out in the customs competency framework and the training curriculum in particular. And we've made sure that we hit all those boxes. So when the EU Commission says, I'm expecting a customs professional to know this, we make sure that that's included in every training that we do. So really, by joining our training programs, you get the best of all three. You get the structure of the CPD, applicable mutatis mutandis for the US, and covering the requirements of the customs competency framework of the EU. And of course, you get a certificate for every training. So that showcases your achievements and that also validates your accomplishment. The fact that you've studied this and that you've learned this should be recognized. So you will be able to collect all of these certificates to showcase that you've actually completed the training. So this brings me then to the CPD program 2025-2026. And as I said, this is for trade professionals, whether they are in customs and whether they are in export controls or sanctions or AML for that matter. And broadly, the countries we look at are US, UK, and EU. And if you are in any of these jurisdictions, then this could be really interesting for you. Of course, you can join from anywhere. It's just very tailored to these three markets. It's a ready-made expert design solution tailored for customs, export controls, and sanctions professionals, ideal for individuals and entire departments in US, UK, EU-based companies looking to meet annual CPD goals. It has a 10-month rolling structure, so it's delivered from September to June, up-to-date, jurisdiction-specific insights into customs, export controls, and sanctions to keep your team fully compliant and informed. And it is very flexible, so you can join as an individual, you can join one session, or you can join all sessions. Obviously, that's more beneficial. And if you bring your entire team, then obviously there is a discount. And if you are a pro subscriber, pro plan users of our trade intelligence service, there's another discount that you should know about. The program runs like this. There is a monthly focused theme. So we will designate a theme to a month and then we'll talk about it. And it explores areas of customs, export controls, sanctions, AML, and the likes of it. Um, it has a two-tier learning format. It has a 60 minutes first introductory session, which is free for all and then a 90-minute premium or pro deep dive session tailored for trade professionals which need the next step up. So the intermediate to advanced knowledge. So for those that need the high level information, join our free minute introductory webinar. And then for those that need the 90 minutes, you can use the paid for service and then have a deep dive session. So as I said, the introductory session is always free. It allows everyone to take a look, and yeah, there's no pay for that. But if you want the deeper dive, the more analysis, and really the points, then this is where you get a pro plan, or where you pay for it basically, and then you get it. All sessions run at the same time, every second and fourth Thursday or of each month. So that's when we meet. It is always at 8 Eastern, at 1 p.m. GMT UK time, or at 2 p.m. CET. It's always the second and the fourth Thursday of the month, unless there's a public holiday, in which case we will move it. So the schedule is as follows. In September, we'll talk about customs and climate change. We'll have a free session on CBAM on the 11th of September, what it is and why it matters. And then on the 25th of September, we have the premium or pro event, which is CBAM Post Omnibus 1, simplification and CO2 emission calculation for CBAM. October is dedicated to green customs and sustainability, and that brings the introduction to the EUDR. So again, this is very EU specific, and the latest simplification. And then on the 16th of October, we have the designing an EUDR compliant due diligence system and statements. So that is your premium plan where we go deeper. So you can see in the beginning of the month, we explain the fundamentals and we set the scene. And then later in the month, we will meet again. This one's on the 16th of October, though. Note, it's not the 4th because that would coincide with Thanksgiving and Halloween and all of that. And so we don't want that. So that's why it meets the week after. So November is usually dedicated to tariff and classification programs. So you can earn 3 CPD or CCP points. On the 13th of November, it's an intro to customs classification and the tariffs and the GIR basics. And then on the 20th of November, it is the 2026 tariff changes, the UEP system update, HS 2028 Outlook. In December, also the timing shifts a little bit, obviously, due to the holidays. So we'll focus on export controls. That'll be dual use changes, UDR, ITA, UK Export Control Order 2020. Not 2028, I guess, if that's a change, or 2008, that probably should say. And then on the 12th of December, due to Christmas advance, it's the EU 2026 dual use updates, latest US EUDR, ITA changes. Then in January, we look at future gazing, 1 and 2. So for 1 is the high level overview of e-law and policy update and changes in the EU, US, and UK. And on the 22nd of January, it's the deep dive into participant chosen topics with me. So that's where you say what you want, and then I will prepare a more granular update on what's coming ahead. February, due to the Ukraine crisis, is a sanctions compliance month. So we deal with sanctions overview and management, marking 4 years of the Ukraine invasion. And then on the 24th of February, it's the latest sanctions on Russia, EU, US, UK, and navigation tips. In March, we focus on importing and exporting to and from the US. So we have 12th of March, the intro into US import export in a Trump area tariff. So the latest updates. On the 26th of March, we have the deep dive, which is the US tariff negotiation strategies, mitigation strategies, and force majeure in contracts. In April, we look inside the Customs Department. So we have a 90-minute session on trade compliance case for Customs Department, setting up KPIs and SOPs. And that's free. And then on the 23rd of April, it's internal audits, planning, execution, reporting, CBT, auditing methods, and implementation. So this looks at the case study of the US. May is dedicated to Incoterms. So May will have a free session walkthrough of all the 11 Incoterms in the wake of Incoterms 2030, which is probably coming up soon. And then on the 21st of May, it's advanced Incoterms, contract clauses, managing DPD and EXW risks. Then June is about the UK because it's 10 years of Brexit. So the 11th of June will be rules of origin, how they work. And then, of course, it will be on the 23rd of June because this is the 10-year Brexit day, compliant management of EU-UK rules of origin under the TCA with practical examples. So that's the plan. There is one price for the whole thing, and there is one price for an individual, and then there are other prices for teams. This is flanked by ad hoc webinars, which will be included in this plan for no additional price. Unless if you buy the entire year plan, so one for the whole year, then these are included and they just pop up randomly. For example, the sanctions package, the US deal, these are just information things that are coming up that are current, and they will add one more CPD to your to your program so you can build these up differently. So whether you join any of these sessions, and you can see that you will get three CPD points for every session that you attend, or you attend these, you can build them and mix and match it up. And we will keep a record for you so that you know how many points you have actually acquired. All right. So if you don't want the whole package, you just want individual parts, and of course you can book them as well. If you want to know more and you want to request a brochure to understand all of what I've explained, then just email us at info@customersmanager.org and then we'll send it to you. So there you have it. The 2025-2026 CPD program is ready. It is ready to be launched. It is ready to be happening, and I can't wait to see you there. So if you want more information on how to sign up, how to get started with it, please hit me up at info@customsmanager.org. Until then, see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.